All right, hey, it's Tuesday, May 5th, your weekly Lake of the Ozarks fishing report. Um, this week things change still, or continue to change as we get real close to the spawn. I haven't seen a lot of fish, with their tails red like they've spawned and spawned out, so I personally think most of them are still coming in. Probably come in this week. We got full moon Thursday, and that's probably when most of them, the majority of it's going to happen. Last week the fishing changed quite a bit. At least it did for me. It became a lot tougher, and it kind of tells me that they are getting closer to spawn. A lot of times, they'll just kind of go into just a little off feed right before they spawn. They feed up real good before and then real good after, but that week of the spawn, at least my experience, things really change and it slows down a lot, and it kind of, that's what happened to me last week anyways. Real quick, our lake conditions, 657.4, so we're still, almost 3 foot low. They're running a lot of water. They're running 35,000 right now. Yesterday they ran quite a bit, so they're still flowing a lot of water, and I'm sure that's just compensating for a lot of water that's coming in, some coming out of Truman, and a lot of rain, just compensating for that. Water temp, anywhere from 57 to say 62, so we're right there in that spawning range. And temperature wise, full moon coming, so I look to see the majority of them come in this week. Lures, man, this week, the beginning of the week was kind of one thing, and then midweek, and then as it fell off, late in the week, things really changed. Of course, the shaky head, just a quarter ounce crocodile shaky head with the Zoom Mag finesse worms, probably the best thing going right now as far as numbers and also some size. You'll catch a lot of keepers. Well, not a lot of keepers, but a few keepers, on that, a lot of shorts. One bait I'm starting to throw, it'll really come into play here next week. This is just a wacky rig, Cinco. I like to throw it on a 7-foot spinning rod, spooled up with 15 or 20 pound braid. And then, with about an 8-foot leader on it of, 8 or 10 pound fluorocarbon. That braid will float. So, the whole deal with this rig, been in spinning reel and all, is you can really skip this bait up underneath them cables, or them catwalks where these big females will hang out. They're notorious for building beds under them catwalks or right underneath the cables, around laydowns, big odd rocks, so this bait here, you can really skip it in there with the braid. That braid will float on top of the water, and then your fluorocarbon will sink. And as this bait sinks, you watch that line that's laying on top of that water, and you'll see it twitch, when a fish grabs it. So that's pretty important that you watch that line. So I've just found with the braid, floating, keeps that line on top of the water, and you can really detect just a subtle bite on that. So, I just like throwing a number 1-odd hook, and hooking that Cinco right in the center. They've got a lot of neat deals. They got those O-rings. Those work real well, that feed onto the Cinco, and then you can hook through that O-ring, and you can get a lot of fish out of the same bait. So that's a deal that's coming on this week, that and throughout the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. That'll be really productive as these fish come off the beds and start feeding up. Top water, it's been good. I expect it to get real good here this week, and maybe towards the end of the week. Next week, just a bone-colored spook thrown on a 7-foot rod. A loose reel spooled up with 12 or 14 pound monofilament on that. You want monofilament on all your top waters, because that line will float and it won't hamper the action of your bait. Fluorocarbon will sink, and then it takes away the action of your top water. So always monofilament on that. A little square bill, still catching them. This is just a 6 foot rod, with a real light luge reel, spooled up with 10 or 12 pound fluorocarbon. This is just a little 6 cent square bill. KBD works good. There's a lot of good little square bills out there. This one, the hooks are really sharp. That's one thing about it. Nice little bait, little shad colored bait. You're gonna want to throw it right up on the bank, um, and kind of crank it down and stop it anywhere you think there might be a bed. It kind of looks like a bluegill, and these bass are going to be going into like just a more of a protection mode, not necessarily feeding. And anything gets close to them beds or around them beds, they'll chase after it. And a little square bill works excellent. You just work it, crank it down right over the top of that bed, stop it, and a lot of times it'll get a bass to react on it. Like it just thinks it's something coming after its eggs. So that, of course, the buzz bait. It's still been it's been productive, but not real productive. It's still a little slow, but just like everything else, this next week we're going to see a big change in the fish. They're going to get a lot more active, and they're going to go way back, more so on a real good feed. So this next week, the next 2 weeks is just going to be excellent, and then we'll get into that post spawn, and there'll be a lot of great days coming up for that. A lot of different baits. The fish will be a lot more productive. They'll be feeding real heavy. Really looking forward to that. This last weekend, there was a couple tournaments, 3 or 4 tournaments. Saturday, it took like 15 pounds to win. And then Sunday, it took 22 pounds to win. Anglers in Action put on a tournament on Sunday. Did a real neat deal to go along with all the restrictions and things with this virus, and they did a real nice job. Had a drive-through weigh-in. You just drove up, handed them the fish, they weighed it, told you your weight, and you moved on. They pulled it off flawlessly. A lot of thought. I really appreciate the effort and everything they put into that, and pulled that off. Extremely well. 170 boats. That's a lot of boats. And it was a really neat deal to get back out, see guys talk, and visit. But the majority of the weights were still kind of low. 12 to 15 and a half pounds. Majority of the people who brought in limits. We didn't turn in a limit. Fish really changed on us. I went after some fish I really thought would be there. Kind of changed it up. In tournament fishing, sometimes you got to go against the grain and try to do something that maybe not everyone's doing yet. And a lot of times that'll pay off, and sometimes it doesn't. And this week, obviously, it didn't. Still had a great time. Still enjoy getting out there. But if you're catching somewhere around 15 pounds, you're right there with everyone else. There was 4 or 5 guys. Teams that had 17, 18, and then the 2 teams with 22 pounds. That's an incredible bag. Obviously, they figured something out, and hats off to them. Did excellent to turn in that kind of weight right now. But like I said, majority of guys around 15 pounds. So if you're out fishing, wondering how you're doing compared to everyone else, that 15 pounds, that's about a good average right now. So, that's about all I got this week. The crappie, real quick. The crappie, they're moving up to the bank. The majority of them are on the bank now, just like the bass are getting ready to spawn. I have noticed I've kind of switched up from just a single tail crappie jig shooting under the docks, which you can still do that. But, the ones out there roaming the bank on these pea gravel flats and little points are a lot easier to catch. And I found just a little single tail crappie jig like this one, little blue and chartreuse, rigged on a little 16-ounce head. Throw it right up to the bank, and just real slow, and you can catch a lot of crappie like that. So something with a little more action seems to work better when you're casting up to the bank and reeling in. So keep that in mind. But other than that, things are opened up down here at the lake. Obviously, you've probably seen on Facebook and people talking. The lake's extremely busy. It has been on the weekends. Midweek's okay, you know, but man, it's been busy. So just keep that in mind. Have a lot of patience. There's a lot of people at the ramps. A lot of people throughout the lake. Big boats, jet skis, pontoons, fast boats, bass boats, you name it. They're all here. They're all out having a good time. You know, I really like seeing that. I want to see people out enjoying time with families, friends, fishing, boating, whatever it is. You know, our restaurants are back open. Branding Iron over here in Sunrise Beach, you know, they're back open now. You know, they had that fire last year, rebuilt, went through all that trouble, and then the virus hit. But now they're back open, back running strong. If you're on this west side of the lake, run by Branding Iron and check that place out if you haven't been there yet. They've got excellent food, excellent portions, great prices, and the friendliest owners you'll ever meet, ever. So, you know, other than that, that's about it this week. So, till next week, we'll see you guys.